Listen carefully, because this is not a comforting speech. This is not meant to make you feel good about the world. This is meant to wake you up. Most people grow up believing a dangerous lie. They believe that if they are kind enough, loyal enough, patient enough, people will eventually treat them right. They believe effort guarantees respect. They believe sacrifice guarantees love. And that belief is exactly why they get used. The brutal truth is this: people don't use you because you are weak. They use you because you are available, because you don't draw boundaries, because you keep proving that no matter how much they take, you will still stay. Human behavior is not guided by morality first. It is guided by convenience. And when you become convenient, you become expendable. You see, nobody wakes up one day and says, let me exploit this person. It happens slowly. It starts with small favors, small compromises, small silences when something feels off. You ignore that discomfort because you don't want to seem difficult. You don't want to lose connection. You don't want conflict. And in doing that, you teach people exactly how to treat you. People test limits the way water tests cracks. If there is no resistance, they flow straight through. If there is no consequence, they push further. And the more you tolerate, the more they normalize taking from you without giving back. One of the hardest realizations in life is understanding that good intentions do not protect you from bad behavior. Being honest does not protect you from manipulation. Being loyal does not protect you from betrayal. In fact, your best qualities often become the tools people use against you. Your kindness becomes access. Your empathy becomes leverage. Your patience becomes permission. And the most painful part, many of the people who use you will look you in the eye and swear they care about you. Because using someone does not always come with cruelty. Sometimes it comes with affection, compliments, and emotional closeness. Sometimes it comes disguised as need. People will drain you while calling you their safe place. They will take your time while calling you important. They will lean on your strength while slowly weakening you. And you keep giving because you confuse being needed with being valued. Here is something nobody tells you early enough. Being useful is not the same as being respected. Usefulness creates dependency, not loyalty. The moment you stop providing, the moment you say no, the moment you ask for balance, everything changes. The tone shifts, the warmth fades, the appreciation disappears, and that is when you realize you were never valued for who you are, only for what you gave. This is why some of the most generous people feel the most exhausted, because they are surrounded by people who are comfortable taking but uncomfortable giving. And exhaustion is not caused by effort, it is caused by imbalance. Now let's talk about outsmarting people, because this is where most people misunderstand the concept. Outsmarting does not mean becoming cold, manipulative, or cruel. It means becoming aware. It means understanding patterns. It means learning human psychology instead of living in fantasy. Outsmarting begins the moment you stop explaining yourself to people who benefit from misunderstanding you. If someone consistently ignores your needs, they understand you perfectly. If someone crosses your boundaries repeatedly, they remember them very well. If someone only shows up when they want something, that is not confusion. That is strategy. And once you accept that, you stop wasting energy trying to convince people to care. One of the biggest traps is believing that if you just communicate better, things will change. Communication only works with people who already respect you. With users, communication becomes a tool for them to gather more information about how to keep taking while giving the bare minimum. They learn your guilt triggers, they learn your fears, they learn your emotional soft spots, and then they use emotional language to keep you in place. This is why growth feels lonely at first, because when you start outsmarting, you start pulling back. You start observing instead of reacting. You stop volunteering explanations. You stop rushing to fix things that are not your responsibility. And people notice. They call you distant. They call you changed. They call you selfish. But what they really mean is you are no longer easy to access. A person who benefits from your self-sacrifice will always be uncomfortable with your self-respect. Understand this clearly. When you stop being useful, people reveal their true intentions. Some will adapt and meet you at your level. Others will disappear. Both outcomes are information. Neither is a loss. Outsmarting also means learning timing. Not everyone deserves immediate access to you. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. Not everyone deserves your loyalty up front. Trust is not given. It is earned through consistency, not words. People lie easily. Patterns don't. Watch who listens when you say no. Watch who respects your time. Watch who stays consistent when there is nothing to gain. That is where the truth lives. Another harsh reality. Some people keep you around because you make their life easier, not better. And the moment you stop carrying their emotional weight, they look for someone else to replace you. That does not mean you were insignificant. It means you were too significant in the wrong role. You were the helper, not the partner. The support system, not the priority. The backup, not the choice. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. Outsmarting requires emotional discipline. It means resisting the urge to overgive when you sense distance. It means not chasing closure from people who benefit from confusion. It means letting silence do the work instead of filling it with effort. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it removes control. Silence forces them to reveal their intentions. Silence protects your energy. People who genuinely value you will reach out with clarity. People who use you will reach out with need. There is also something important you must accept. Some relationships only survive as long as you overfunction. The moment you become balanced, they collapse. That is not failure, that is exposure. You were never meant to carry everything. And finally, understand this. Being sharp does not mean losing your heart. It means protecting it. You can be kind without being accessible. You can be generous without being drained. You can be loving without being naive. The goal is not to harden. The goal is to become selective. Because once you learn to see clearly, people can no longer use you. They can only meet you where you stand, and most won't. But the ones who do will change your entire understanding of connection, respect, and self-worth. That is the brutal truth. And once you reach that level of awareness, something strange starts to happen inside you. You stop feeling the urgency to prove yourself. You stop rushing to be understood. You stop explaining your pain to people who benefit from your silence. And that inner shift is dangerous, not for you, but for those who are comfortable using you. Because users rely on one thing, your predictability. They know you will respond. They know you will forgive. They know you will stay. The moment you break that pattern, they feel destabilized. And that's when manipulation escalates. They guilt you. They remind you of the past. They bring up everything they once did for you, not because they cared, but because they see relationships as transactions. To them, kindness is a debt, and they expect repayment with obedience. This is why outsmarting requires emotional maturity. You must be able to sit with discomfort without fixing it. You must be able to let people misunderstand you without defending yourself, because clarity does not come from arguing, it comes from consistency. People who are using you will try to provoke emotional reactions, anger, tears, explanations, because once you are emotional, you are controllable again. Logic threatens them, calm scares them, detachment exposes them. So you learn to pause. You learn that not every message needs a reply, not every accusation needs a defense, not every relationship needs to be saved. And this is where most people struggle because they mistake peace for loss. They think walking away means they failed. In reality, walking away means they finally understood. Another uncomfortable truth is this: people often reward dysfunction more than health. When you are always available, always accommodating, always giving, you fit neatly into their life. The moment you grow, demand balance, or prioritize yourself, you disrupt their comfort. And instead of adjusting, many people would rather replace you than rise to meet you. That replacement is not proof of your worthlessness, it is proof of your growth. Outsmarting also means understanding your own patterns. Why do you overgive? Why do you stay longer than you should? Why do you keep hoping someone will change when they show you repeatedly who they are? Often it comes from a belief that love must be earned through effort, that rest must be justified, that saying no makes you unlovable. And until you unlearn that, people will continue to take advantage of it because users are not rare. Unawareness is common. The world does not reward innocence, it tests it. And those tests come in the form of charming people, needy people, broken people, and sometimes people you love deeply. Outsmarting is not about distrusting everyone, it's about trusting yourself enough to notice when something feels wrong and acting on it. Most people sense exploitation long before they accept it. They feel drained, they feel anxious before interactions, they feel resentful but guilty for feeling that way. And instead of listening to that signal, they suppress it because they don't want to seem unkind. But your body always knows before your mind admits it. Fatigue is a message. Resentment is information. Emotional heaviness is a warning sign. Outsmarting means respecting those signals instead of overriding them for the sake of harmony. There is also power in letting people face the consequences of their behavior. When you constantly rescue, you remove accountability. When you always forgive without change, you teach people that words matter more than actions. And when you keep giving chances without boundaries, you train others to expect unlimited access to you. Boundaries are not punishments, they are filters. They filter who stays, they filter who adapts, they filter who was never meant to have access in the first place. And yes, some people will leave, some will criticize you, some will spread narratives about you to protect their ego. That is the price of no longer being exploitable. But here's the quiet victory. You stop bleeding energy into relationships that were never mutual. You start experiencing calm instead of chaos. You start feeling respected instead of needed. And slowly your standards rise, not because you think you are better, but because you finally know what it costs to give yourself away too cheaply. Outsmarting also involves patience. Not everyone reveals themselves immediately. Some people are strategic. They give just enough to keep you hopeful, just enough to keep you invested, just enough to keep you questioning yourself. And this is where time becomes your ally. Consistency over time never lies. Watch who shows up when it's inconvenient. Watch who keeps their word when emotions fade. Watch who respects you when you stop performing. You don't need to confront every red flag. Sometimes the smartest move is to step back and observe. Because when you stop feeding the dynamic, it either corrects itself or collapses. And that collapse, painful as it may be, saves you years of emotional debt. At some point, you realize that being underestimated is actually an advantage. When people think you're naive, they reveal too much. When they think you'll always stay, they stop hiding. And in that space, you gain clarity without confrontation. Clarity is power, and power does not announce itself. It moves quietly, decisively, without drama. You begin to understand that real intelligence is emotional restraint. That strength is not loud. That confidence does not beg to be chosen. And as you internalize that, the way you move through relationships changes entirely. You stop chasing intensity and start valuing stability. You stop romanticizing struggle and start prioritizing reciprocity. You stop confusing attachment with connection. And people who thrived on your confusion can no longer reach you the same way. Because once you see the game, you're no longer playing it. You're choosing whether to participate at all. And as you continue walking that path, you notice something else. Freedom feels heavier than you expected. Not because it burdens you, but because it carries responsibility. The responsibility to protect your energy, to protect your time, to protect your heart, to stop apologizing for existing fully without bending to someone else's convenience. Outsmarting people is not about winning arguments. It's about winning your own life back. It's about reclaiming the hours you once gave to appease, the emotions you once sacrificed to maintain appearances, the hope you once invested in people who never valued it. Every yes you said out of fear or obligation becomes a lesson. Every disappointment becomes a teacher. Every betrayal becomes a mirror, reflecting patterns you no longer need to repeat. And slowly, painfully, the fog lifts. You begin to see people clearly, not as you wish they were, but as they actually are. Some of them will surprise you, some will rise to the occasion, some will finally meet you halfway, but the majority, most of them, will retreat, revealing that they were never aligned with your values in the first place. And that is not rejection, it is clarity. Outsmarting also means mastering the art of selective vulnerability. Share your world with those who show care through consistency, not just words. Invest your energy in people who reciprocate naturally, not strategically. Build relationships that are balanced, not one-sided. And yes, it requires courage, because the temptation to overgive is powerful and the instinct to rescue is strong. But here's the paradox. The moment you stop overgiving, the moment you stop rescuing, you stop being available for exploitation. That doesn't make you cold. That makes you intelligent. That makes you strong. That makes you impossible to use without consent. And there is an internal satisfaction that comes from that. Not arrogance, not superiority, but calm confidence. The confidence that you are no longer a resource to be consumed. The confidence that you are no longer a stepping stone for someone else's gain. The confidence that you now operate from alignment, not desperation. You start noticing the little things, the subtle ways people test you, the timing of their requests, the frequency of their calls, the tone of their messages. You see patterns that were invisible before, and patterns tell the truth when words often lie. Outsmarting is about understanding that people act in their own self-interest. That empathy is a privilege, not a given. That loyalty is earned, not assumed. And that love without boundaries becomes a trap disguised as a blessing. You begin to realize that detachment is not abandonment, it is strategy. Observation is not paranoia, it is awareness. Saying no is not cruelty, it is preservation. And choosing yourself is not selfish, it is survival. And once you internalize that, you move differently, you speak differently, you respond differently, you allocate your energy differently. People who once drained you now feel the distance, and that discomfort is exactly what balance looks like. At some point, you understand that emotional independence is a weapon of clarity. It forces people to engage with you authentically or not at all. It forces them to show their true colors instead of relying on your tolerance. And that truth is liberating, even if it's uncomfortable at first. Because living aware means living with intention. It means interacting with people not out of habit or obligation, but because there is real alignment. It means giving without expectation and protecting without apology. It means knowing that your time, your energy, and your heart are the most valuable currency you have, and you are not obligated to spend them on someone who treats them as disposable. The most dangerous person to a manipulator is someone who knows their own value, someone who can say no without guilt, someone who observes without needing validation, someone who moves quietly but decisively. And that person, you can be that person. Every interaction becomes a test of boundaries. Every relationship becomes a measure of respect. Every connection becomes a choice, not a compulsion. And slowly, the world changes around you, not because people have changed, but because you have. Your energy is no longer scattered. Your loyalty is no longer assumed. Your kindness is no longer exploited. And the peace that comes from that is revolutionary, even if invisible to others. Outsmarting is not revenge. It is preparation. It is strategy. It is choosing clarity over chaos, self-respect over validation, and wisdom over sentimentality. And once you adopt this mindset, you will move through life differently, calmer, sharper, and untouchable by those who once used you without care. People will continue to test you, to push limits, to see if old patterns still exist. But when you have internalized awareness, when you have mastered observation, when you have enforced boundaries, the game changes. You no longer play on their terms. You no longer respond to their agenda. You no longer allow yourself to be expendable. And slowly, quietly, power shifts, not outwardly, but inwardly. The strength that comes from outsmarting is invisible to most, but it is undeniable. It is the freedom to exist fully without apology. It is the courage to demand reciprocity without guilt. It is the wisdom to know when to engage, when to withdraw, and when to simply observe. This is the reality most people never see. That being kind, loyal, or generous does not guarantee protection, that the world often rewards those who exploit and punishes those who overgive, and that the only defense is awareness, boundaries, and the courage to choose yourself first. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you stop wasting years of your life on people who never deserved you. And the sooner you embrace this, the sooner your relationships, whether with family, friends, or lovers, begin to reflect respect, balance, and mutual care. Because the brutal truth is simple. People will use you until you outsmart them. And when you finally do, nothing ever touches you the same way again. And here's the final truth you need to carry with you. No one has the right to drain your energy, manipulate your kindness, or take your loyalty for granted. The moment you see clearly, set boundaries fiercely, and protect your heart unapologetically, you move from being used to being untouchable. Stop waiting for people to change. Start changing your approach, and watch how your world respects you differently. Your power is in your awareness, your self-respect, and your refusal to be anyone's stepping stone. Never underestimate the strength of a mind that refuses to be exploited, because once you outsmart them, you become unstoppable.